welcome, Tine. Well, you must be really proud because we are looking at Denmark so many times today during this day.
Yes, I noticed. Yes, very nice. Thank you so much.
Well, because I guess you have so many things to show us and to share with us. We are really willing to know about your methodology so that elder people can reestablish their abilities that they lost. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. Yes, I want to share with you a new approach that we have now implemented in Denmark. And in English, we call it reablement. Call it something totally different in Danish, but I won't bore you with that. Why we're doing it in Denmark is because of the exact same reasons as we have been told about today. We are seeing aging societies in the Western world. There are more and more older people who will need help in later life. And many of them would like to stay at home for as long as possible. We also know that there's a change in household composition, so more and more older people are living alone and not with family members who might assist them. And if we look at statistics like the OECD, for instance, we can see that we can expect almost a doubling of the social expenditure that we need to spend on long-term care and also on healthcare costs. And there are different scenarios. That's what is indicated in the graph over here. So if we really try to keep costs down, we might not see a full doubling, but the most likely scenario is because of costs for medicine and so on, that we will see quite an increase in cost in future years. So we need to come up with new solutions. We need to be innovative. And I think reablement offers such an approach. It's a way of providing active care in an aging society. Reablement is an individualized provision in the sense that we focus on the individual person and very much looks at how can we assist this person in learning or relearning skills and competences. For instance, if you've had a fall and you have been to the hospital, you come back and you really want to become independent of care again. And this is when we can go in and assist and try to make the person learn or relearn the skills. It's also a care provision which is outcome related, in the sense that we want to achieve something. The more traditional form of care, you could say, was about what we put in and in terms of the resources, the provisions, and also the actual care provider. But now we also want to have something out of it. And this changes, I think, a bit of the focus. It's goal-oriented in the sense that we want to achieve something with the provision of care. It also matters on the goals of the older person. It's not what matters to me if I was a home care worker, but it's what matters to the older person that I would assist. So we ask the older person, what is important to you? And a typical goal could be, well, my daughter, she lives on the 2nd floor. I cannot manage to climb the stairs. So I'd really love to be able to do that again. And then we say, good, okay, let's help you. Let's provide some training so you can do that. But we are also interested in making you more independent in your home so that you can assist yourself in other matters. So it's a combination of those two. So the aim is to improve the quality of life because we are asking what is important to you, but it's also, and we have to be realistic about this, it's also a measure to keep costs down. It's broadly implemented not only in Denmark, but also across other countries like New Zealand, Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Norway, the Netherlands. So across different countries, but also different welfare models. So we have very different ways of financing, organizing, and providing care, but yet we still agree that this is a good idea. So just to illustrate with some pictures, what is the change in the approach in care? So over here on the right side, you can say you have a more traditional approach. It's a bit exaggerated, but where the older person sits down and somebody is servicing the older person, combing his hair or hoovering while the older lady lifts her legs and so on. And in the new approach, we try to assist the older person in helping themselves. So shaving, for instance, or doing the dishes, assisted, but doing it on their own eventually. So what is it that we actually do? Well, in Denmark, it's normally an intervention of 12 weeks. It can differ. And during these weeks, there will be a continuous assessment of both the needs. So we change the intervention according to how the needs are changing. And we also keep asking, what is your goal? Now that we've reached this sort of, you can say, mid-goal, are there changes to your goal overall? Would you like us to do something different? Because is there something else which is now important to you? So we are continuously focused on the older persons in terms of the needs and the goals. And it's the home care worker who assisted the older person on a daily basis who is focused on these goals and needs. And she, it's often a she is working very closely together with occupational therapists and also physiotherapists. So it's a team approach, and this is something new also. It's a multidisciplinary team approach. And the home care worker would come on a daily visit, and the older person would also be offered various assistive devices in order to move around the home and pick up things from the floor and so on. Physical training is important, like the man climbing the stairs up here. And it's also important that after the intervention is over, we then assess or reassess the need for care. And if the older person then needs more traditional home care, this is being offered. So it's not that we say goodbye to the older person and then the older person can manage on his or her own. We still provide care if needed. But every person in Denmark has to be assessed for reablement before we provide more conventional home care. So this is a big change. It's also a change which is very much in alignment with what goes on in terms of active aging, also part of the EU social investment agenda and part of the UNICEF Vienna Ministerial Declaration about enhancing the potential of older people and increasing their quality of life by enabling their personal fulfillment. So across, again, welfare models across countries, there is agreement that we have to do something that really supports older people in being independent and enhancing their abilities. Reablement is still a new focus. So the research, those of you that do research know that it always takes time before we have the evidence for something new. But we're doing, for instance, a study in Denmark where we're looking at, we have a control group and we then have an intervention group. A treatment group, and we are then comparing what happens. And what we can see is early indications that the functional ability does change for the group that receives reablement. We also see an increase in healthcare-related quality, and quite important, because this was our concern from the beginning, we do not see an increase in loneliness, because we were thinking, if nobody comes to visit the older person after these 12 weeks, a lot of them might be lonely afterwards. But this is not what we see, fortunately. If we look at the international evidence, we can also see that there is generally support for that this is a good idea. For instance, in New Zealand, we see an increase in health-related quality of life. We see in Norway that older people who have received reablement say that they are much more confident in carrying out daily tasks on their own afterwards. We see in Australia short-term improvement, and in the UK we see a reduction in need for social care. But there are also voices in the UK saying, be aware, it might also be costly to do the reablement approach, because you need to have a lot of people visiting the older person. It's a quite intensive approach where you visit the older person every day and so on. So you have to, if reducing the cost is your aim, you have to consider there are also investment costs. But I think in terms of improving quality of life, making older people more independent, this is very important. And I think very important also, and I'm sure this is the case in Spain, in Denmark we have huge problems recruiting and retaining care staff. So a lot of them are saying this is really hard for us to work in this sector, the work environment is really poor. And what we see now, that those care workers that work with reablement, they say we find our work is so much more meaningful. So we can see that they're less likely to quit their job. So I think for this sector, that's also a very important finding. So as a conclusion, I think we've found an approach which ensures aging with dignity and also making long-term care systems sustainable. It's a means for promoting independence for the older person, and it's a means for promoting participation in those activities that matter for the older person. It's a citizen-centered approach, person-centered approach, and it changes the locus of expertise because we're asking the older person, what is important for you? How would you like things done? So it's no longer the home care worker, the healthcare worker who's the expert. And it sees the individual as a resource, seeing them that they have resources in their life that they can actually apply. It furthers a multidisciplinary integration, and hopefully we're also able to provide the evidence that it also ensures cost containment, because we need that with aging societies. So the remaining question is just, is it simply not the right thing to do? And on that remark, I would also say that because reablement is taking place in so many different countries, we have an interest in finding the evidence across the various countries. So we've set up a group of international researchers that are looking into this, and our website will be launched in January if you Google Reable, and this is hosted by the Auckland University. So thank you very much.